Okay guys, so let's go ahead and start getting ready to change the valve cover gasket on the engine here. The reason why I believe it's leaking is because back over here we're getting some drips and smoke and stuff, and it's got to be coming from something down over here in this area. I'm thinking that it's the valve cover. So what we're going to do is we're going to pop these off and just use a flathead. And it's going to give access to a couple of these little nuts. Oh shit. At least I heard it hit on the ground. I'm going to place those somewhere I can find them. Let's get this out of the way. Place that somewhere I can find it. We're going to pop up these. As soon as I got that off, kind of twist this dude, pull it out of there. So those are the first two things. Here's a 10mm socket, and we're going to be using a 10mm for the vast majority of this. Remove this guy as well, because if not, it's going to get in our way. This thing's freaking falling apart, man. Good Lord. This is some brittle ass plastic. Look at this. Holy crap. Nothing is ever easy in my world. So I'm going to pull these up, pop them out. This right here are the coils. You can mark these if you want to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc. I'm going to just put these in an order that I know where they went, just by the order that they are laid out. And also during the time that I'm taking these out, I'm looking to see if I can see any oil or burn marks or any sign that it's arcing or whatever. And now we are going to start loosening up all of these. And same thing, these are all about like 10mm. And man, these things are really torqued down. Okay. Same thing with these guys. I just kind of get them out of my way here. I generally will use deep well sockets for anything I possibly can, because every now and then you're going to run across stuff like what's in here. It's just going to make your job easier. And after I know that these are loose, where I can use an extension and the socket like a screwdriver, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to cruise through here and just discombobulate all these. I'm going to grab this, kind of squeeze, and then pull back on it. This can be a trick sometimes. There we go. But this needs to be done. We'll remove that. If this was an old Ford, this would have been done already. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gently pry this up, and judging on how it's reacting is going to determine if I'm just going to try to pull it up all at once, or if I'm going to kind of be gentle and work my way around. Right now, it kind of feels like it's behaving itself. So I'm going to this guy out of the way. Okay. there we go. And then you'll see that we have our gaskets here. These are really hardened. These have been hard. These are hard as fuck right now. So I'm gonna remove these guys. I'm gonna make sure that you can see oil inside this. So it's been getting underneath. But I'm gonna remove all this, and I'm gonna remove the gasket from around there as well. I'm gonna clean off the old RTV and everything, and make this where it's ready to accept a new gasket. And I'm going to clean off the valve cover as well, just simply because it needs it, and it's been leaking inside there as well. So let me clean all this stuff off. Let me clean up the other thing, and we'll get ready to put the new gaskets in. Also, what I'm going to do, if there's some old RTV or something that's in the way, I'm going to end up just using a razor to scrape this off and to make it clean. You're trying to make this as flat as you can make it, and try to prevent this stuff from going inside your actual engine. Okay, my battery died on my other camera, so you didn't really miss much. I just cleaned everything up, and I put a coat of RTV under the gasket portion, and now I'm putting a thin coat around the bottom side of it, and I'm also putting a little extra on the sides where we've got these little curves. Okay, and I'm not putting a whole bunch on here. I'm just putting enough to kind of help give it a little bit more of a seal. This is all going to herniate out and everything, so not that big of a deal. But I also want to make sure that the area where it was leaking earlier gets a good dose of it. Spread some of this out with my finger just to try to keep everything somewhat even. And while this is still wet, I'm going to go ahead and install it and let this stuff herniate out. If you are making a gasket with RTV and not using this as supplemental gasket like I am here, this I would consider supplemental. But if you're making a gasket, what you actually want to do is you want to put a big bead of it on and let it set up and let it kind of harden before you put it on. That way it's kind of rubbery and gummy and it's got some give to it. So now let's go ahead and put this guy back on where it belongs. And now I'm going to go ahead and kind of doing a star pattern again, like a zigzag pattern. I'm going to tighten these bolts and everything back on. And you want to follow the manufacturer's specs, like their recommendations on how you should go about doing the tightening sequence, as well as what the tension should be. So you're going to end up using a torque wrench on this. But you want to use the manufacturer's specs, because doing one valve cover is like doing all of them, quite honestly. So, if you've done one, you've done them all for the most part. So just make sure that you follow manufacturers' suggestions on that type of stuff, okay? And I'm just going to kind of hand tighten these guys all the way around. And right now all I'm doing is I'm making these snug to allow the RTV to herniate out, okay? Because if you try to tighten it right now to proper tension at this point, you're going to get to that tension, but then that RTV is going to herniate out, and within maybe a minute or 2 minutes or so, you actually might have a different tension on those bolts. So just kind of make it tight, but like not super tight. And then we can go through in a few minutes after this has been setting up for a little bit, and then actually do all of the torquing it down to the proper tension. Because liquids don't compress very well, and when you first try to torque it down, it's going to give you initial resistance. That's going to change as soon as some of it can herniate out of there. Let's give that 5 minutes or so. Allow this stuff to herniate a little bit more out of here. And then afterwards, we'll go ahead and clean it up. And then this stuff that herniates, we can always clean that stuff up with like a rag after we get this torqued down to the tension that we want. We could just kind of take a rag like this and get a lot of that RTV up, so it's not such an eyesore. But you know, basically something like that, just to kind of make it look a little bit better. Okay, so I went ahead and I torqued everything back to where it's supposed to be. I'm going to run my fingers inside the areas of where the spark plugs go, just to kind of take down some of that herniated RTV. You can clean it out with a rag if you want to. I just honestly don't see the point behind it. So let's see, we can go ahead and hook this guy back up. Okay, put that there, make sure that's on. We can go ahead and hook all these wires and everything back up to where they were originally. Okay, now I know you're going to be wanting to turn your vehicle on and take it for a drive and all that other good stuff and test it out. You need to wait for a while. You need to let this RTV set up. Okay. Generally, it's recommended that you wait for a day, 24 hours, before you decide to put fluids back in here and run it and all that other good stuff. Now, we've already got fluids in here because we've got the oil, but that's in the bottom of the oil pan. So I don't really want to start this until tomorrow. And then before I start it, though, I'm going to test the bolts one more time to make sure that they're torqued down correctly, because that will give it the rest of the night to push out any more of this RTV, just so I can make sure that I've got a really good seal. Because even though these things are down right now where they're supposed to be, I bet you in another hour it's going to change a little bit. And that's just me being anal. Now, if you didn't put the RTV, which you don't have to, okay, but if you didn't put the RTV, typically just doing it twice is enough, and then you know you're good. I'm gonna have to get a new boot for this because that one's too messed up. And now I'm also gonna have to get a new oil cap. This one I'm just gonna gently put on like that for now, and then I'm gonna go pick up one. That should be it. Final thing is to turn the vehicle on. You should always clean up any oil leaks and turn the vehicle on, see if you can see any new oil leaks. See if it worked, and that's the final test. I'm pretty sure that this is going to do the trick, and that's that, guys. So you know, it is what it is. Things, as they get older, the plastic gets brittle, just like the top of this, it's brittle. This boot, I'm going to have to replace this one. Good thing is I can get something like this on eBay from a junkyard, probably $15, not a big deal. This I could probably just get at Napa Auto Parts or something, if I'm lucky, maybe even Kragen, 15-20 bucks. But that's that. Everything's back to where it's supposed to be. Just making sure that all hoses are hooked up the way that they're supposed to be. All the wires are where they're supposed to be. Everything's good, and it is. And that's that. Anyway, guys, so until next time, I guess I'll just talk to you later.